Hello, dear tutor. My name is Jacky Garcia Solano. I am a student of the bachelor's degree in foreign languages with emphasis on English. Today I'm going to present my oral defense concerning the project that I developed during the semester, which is called Application of a Pedagogical Strategy Based on Interaction in the Bilingualism Project of the Colegio Americano of Bucaramanga. So the type of paper, this is a research project with a pedagogy, didactics, and curriculum line. The author myself, Jacky Milady Garcia Solano, the advisor, Edner Suarez Alomia. The keywords for the project are oral communication, bilingualism, interaction, didactic sequence, and levels. The Statement Project. Colegio Americano of Bucaramanga, since the 22 year, they created a new bilingual project. The high school students from 6th to 11th grade, they are divided not by grades, but by level of English. So we have three different levels: the elementary, the pre-intermediate, and the intermediate one. Um, there has been an exponential advance since the beginning of the project in the language of the students in terms of comprehension, writing, and reading skills. The students have much broader knowledge of grammar and how to construct paragraphs and essays in English, following the structures of the language. However, we have a problem, and it is the communication skill, the speaking skill. The students still have difficulties to produce orally in English. The problem is not found in the teaching model because we see that it has been or they have increased their level, but we have a problem with the strategies used in the project. The teaching model for the development of that particular skill, which is the oral production. The school has a bilingualism program that is successful in certain skills, but it needs adjustments in order to achieve the comprehensive learning that was projected from the beginning of the project. So the problem is addressed to enhance the communicative skill, the oral skill. The objectives. The general objective: to apply a pedagogical strategy based on the interaction model to foster the oral production skills in English of students at Colegio Americano de Bucaramanga so that they may get a global level of communication. The specific objectives: to provide the students material based on interaction model that help them practice the language and so improve it. To create activities inside and outside the classroom for students to be in touch with the language as much as possible. To achieve a level of comprehensive training in a second language that translate into lasting results and give credibility to the development of the bilingualism project proposed by the institution. The literature review. I took some of the main authors that speak about interaction as a basis of the communicative uh, skill. So we have the Chomsky, 1965, that considered that linguistic theory is primarily concerned with the ideal speaker-listener in a completely homogeneous interaction community that knows its language perfectly well and unaffected by grammatically irrelevant conditions such as memory limitation, distractions, shifts of attention and interest and errors, random or characteristic way when applying the language knowledge in a real context. Then we have Garfinkel, that addresses the use of grammar as a secondary component when it comes to the development of communicative skill in everyday context. The posits that certainly any discourse is an imperfect indication of the knowledge underlying it. For users who know shared knowledge, this agreement could be considered efficient. And if one uses one intuitions in speech as well as grammar, one can see that in what grammar is imperfect may be ingenious realization of an oral act. Hume's 1968, he asserted that new habits of speech and verbal management must be introduced necessarily by means of source to particular receivers using particular code with messages in particular forms through particular channels on particular topics in particular settings, and this form and to people for whom there already exists definite patterns of linguistic routines of expression of personality through speech, of the uses of speech in social situations, of attitudes and conceptions toward speech. And then we have Krashen that proposes the natural approach, which is an approach that says that we do not learn the language, but we acquire the language in a natural way. Then we have the methodology. Then to conduct this study, a mixed method of research, which is quantitative and qualitative methodology, was used. The population were the students of high school from 6th to 11th grade of Colegio Americano de Bucaramanga. The characteristics of the participants, they have great skills in reading, writing, and listening, but they still have some problems with the speaking ability. That is the one that we are going to improve through the didactic sequence. The instruments used to collect information, first of all, we need to know the specific level of the students so that we can create a didactic unit in which we can foster the speaking ability or the communication activity. The programs used to systematize information, well, we had a survey with the opinion of the students concerning the importance of interaction in classes. So the idea was to, by Google Classroom, to systematize that information. The results. Well, to be able to foster the speaking ability of the students for this application of a pedagogical strategy, precisely the pedagogical strategy was the application of a didactic unit in which we include a lot of activities based on the interaction approach. So the results were good. The students of all grades to which was applied responded positively to the proposed activity by participating and following the proposed interaction model. Another result that we could see was the time. It was not enough. So we had like 4 sessions with each group of students, each level, and each session was out of 2 hours, more or less, but we saw that it was not enough, that we need more time to continue enhancing that ability. So the intervention of the teacher with the feedback and the correction of mistakes during all the implementation of the didactic sequence was one of the points that gave good results in the implementation of the pedagogical strategy. This didactic unit was not only focused on structure, which is something that we could saw in the literature review. It was not something focused only on grammar, but focused on the development of the communicative skills. So all the activities that were implemented in this didactic sequence were based on the interaction and the oral ability. The discussion. Well, we have some things to add to this didactic sequence. The pedagogical practice can be significantly improved if the accompaniment of a native teacher becomes frequent, or an English teacher, if interaction spaces are extended, and if more audiovisual resources are provided to allow students to immerse in much more real context and provide them with much more meaningful learning. And also it is very important for English teachers to move away from repetitive workshops and start taking students into a reality and immersing them in the culture so that they develop not only communication skills in the foreign language but also social skills that will help them function in the real world. So in this case, we can see that what we can extract out of the implementation of the didactic unit was that it is necessary, first of all, to include the presence always of a teacher, and then to include activities that are not only focused on structure but to foster the communication. Some conclusions that we have. For the pedagogical proposal based on interaction to generate effective and lasting results, there must be components such as the use of speeches, debates, oral presentation that generate precisely the interaction sought. It is essential also to achieve a level of comprehensive training in a second language that translates into lasting results and gives credibility to the development of the bilingualism project proposed by the institution. It is necessary to look for some additional components. In the case of this pedagogical sequence, we counted with the participation of Lauren. Lauren was a native teacher that also helped us in this application of this strategy. And that was a great point in the results. We saw that was a great point, since she could give us the feedback so that we can improve in our pronunciation, the fluency, and all the linguistic components. It is necessary finally to take a basis the guidelines established by the Ministry of National Education in order to be clear about the competences and BDA to be implemented within the didactic sequence. Those are the conclusions that we can extract from this project. Well, we have the references, and thank you very much for your attention. See you in the next opportunity. Bye bye.